Well, it's 07:45 hours, 7:45, whatever. It's a lovely morning, sunny, bodes well the weather. It's a new walkover here by put down by the Kent Harbour project. It does get pretty boggy through this part of the woodland, and through there's the lake. And I'm on the other side of the lake today. I've come in from the top end. I had to go to the doctor's, but the surgery was closed. They only to drop a script in. It's nice through here, very nice. Been doing a bit of foraging. It's just nice. This at one time here, when I first moved over to Tunbridge, was a lovely pine tree, and basically it went and it was lodged in there. And Kent Harbour deemed it was dangerous, which I didn't think it was, so they chopped it down. And there's the logs. It was a nice tree, but you know, I often do wonder, you know, all these little risk assessments. A risk assessment is a necessary thing. If I was to do some teaching, I would have to go through all of that, you know, to assess the risks that we would do. But sometimes the risk assessments can be very, very skew. But it's just so nice and quiet through here, apart from some old boy chattering away, which is me. It's very quiet. They haven't even started the construction yet. I can just hear one or two trucks pulling in. It's nice. Anyway, I'm going to enjoy the solitude for a bit. I've got my faithful hound, as you can see, with me today, as I always seem to have. It's great just to get out. It's a great fillip for the soul. It's just good for the soul just to get out in these woods and wander around a bit. There are other woods around which I want to explore, but just for the moment I'm coming into these ones. Anyway guys, I'll see you in a minute. Well, now we have some willow. Nice piece of goat willow. I've cut a piece off to demonstrate something a little later. It's very nice. Just shows you the power of regeneration, particularly of broadleaf trees. You don't get this so much with conifers, but I mean this has been severely hacked down and it's sprung out again. Plenty of withies on there. You could do some rude basket making. Not the sort of basket making I intended to do a few weeks back, but c'est la vie. I'm still working on that project, and what I've got in mind is some rattan I've got indoors to practice on. Hi guys, a little bit of a doze just now, yeah, just laying back and enjoying the this nice piece of woodland. I'm in a slightly different area today. I'm about 200 or 300 yards from where I normally set up. Actually, I find it's quite a bit. It's quite nice here. It seems to be a lot better. Maybe I might set up here as a regular basis. Just got to have a look at a few of the trees, see where I can put my tarp and what have you. I've got my string hammock up. Little faithful hound here, down here. You can't see him on camera. I was looking the other way and all of a sudden he disappeared off into the undergrowth, barking away. Whether it's a fox or whether it was a deer, I know not. He come back quite excited and sort of had the eye chase something beastly off type look about him. But he lived up to the terrier's way. He's a nice little terrier, is this dog. At the moment he's lying on his back having his belly rubbed. Yeah, it's quite nice. Really pleasant day here actually. A little bit of noise over that way where they're constructing new flats. And I'm looking to actually extending my days out. I normally come in here in this part of the woodland for a couple of hours once or twice a week, but I'm feeling the need to go further afield. A couple of years back I did. Avalon and I we would do quite a bit of walking together, and I'm feeling the need to do a lot more of that again, get some more exercise in. There's plenty of places to go around here, either bus trips away or within walking distance. Maybe get some overnights out. I would love to get an overnight out. And I will do eventually. About 6 weeks time I'll be away to Scotland. Be doing the old coastal forager. Really looking forward to that. But other than that, I'm just enjoying this piece of woodland. It's really quiet. The hammock's really slung low today. What I'm going to demonstrate in a minute is cordage. Most of us take paracord out with us. It is quite useful stuff, but it doesn't really rot down, and it isn't using a resource. You know, it's taking something out with you, and often we don't need the paracord. We can get it from something like this. This is a piece of willow. I'm surrounded by sweet chestnut, and the smooth bark of the sweet chestnut, the young coppice, you can actually get cordage, and if you look around the net you can actually see a little bit of a guy making some bark baskets using the cambium layer and cut it into strips about that wide and about that long. It shows you how to weave it, and also actually making cutting the bark off and actually making a basket or a container from that as well. It's something I want to have a go at doing. Of course, you've got to find use for the rest of the wood. It's pointless just cutting down a tree and just using the bark. The rest of the wood must be used as well. But without further ado, what I will do is show you how to produce some string, bit of cordage, and I'll explain what else you can do with this, or how to make it more like string. First of all, you need to get yourself, in this case, a piece of willow, and the tree you saw earlier in the video is where I got this piece of willow from. Basically just strip the leaves off. Right, next you need is your trusty bush knife, or your trusty field knife. This is my jacklaw. I've got a few other knives indoors, but today I'm just using the jacklaw as I tend to do. I'm just going to have a look and see what I can do with this. I might try and make a hoop later. Yeah, right. So basically what you do is, just underneath the green layer there's a cambium layer, and that's what we're going to use for our string. So basically what you do is you just scrape off this top green layer. What it will do is stain your knife if you've got carbon steel knife. I do have stainless steel knife indoors, which I use when I'm on the coast. But basically you just do this. It is, by the way, easier to scrape this top layer of bark off when it is on when it's on the branch. If you try and peel the bark and then scrape it, it's a pain. A few mosquitoes about, I see. I have been got at once this morning, I think. Got a little itch on my arm. I do have some ultrathon, which I do tend to put on when I come out into these woods. Ever since I've developed Type 2, I noticed that I've been more attractive to the old Mosquito. As you can see, it does tend to stain your knife pretty well. That's mostly the tannings in the bark. Obviously if you're going to use sweet chestnut, you will find it will stain even more, because that is a really good source of tannin, along with oak. Better be careful, I'm getting a bit too carried away. You have to be really gentle at times when you're scraping the bark off. You don't want to scrape too straight through the cambium layer, or else you won't get your string. Of course there are many other plants around here that will provide you with cordage. Sadly holly won't. I mean, I tried it the other day. We've got a piece of holly for my grandpa's grill and toasting fork. So, and I thought, and as an aside, I did notice there's a design fault in the grill itself, but it's nothing too major, and I'm tempted to write to Light My Fire and mention this. It's just something that will make the stick hold onto the griddle a little bit more securely. Anyway, I'm getting there with this scraping. As I say, you don't need to keep whatever you plan to do. I tend not to carry too much cordage with me. If I do carry anything, it's normally jute twine, because that can have, not only is it biodegradable over a long period, I mean it's not, it won't suddenly in a couple of weeks disappear into the undergrowth. It takes quite a while, but it is degradable, unlike paracord. Paracord's got strength, but you can make quite strong cordage out of this. And I notice in America they use something called bank line a lot, which I'm not quite sure what that is. If anybody care to elucidate, I could always look it up on the net, I suppose. But it doesn't stimulate conversation. I do appreciate, whoops, going straight through to the wood there. Right, I think that'll do. So what I'll do is next thing to do is to choke the blade and gently run the knife down like so. Whoops. There we go. And as per usual, if you're finished with your knife, sheath it. There's nothing more dangerous than a knife being out. Right. Basically what you do now is you just peel it off. And I've got a whole pile of these with these in the backyard at home, which it's turned into a just job. I'm just going to do that in a bit. And basically what I'm intending to do is make a griddle. Though summer's getting on a bit now, I'm going to make up some soda drying boxes. Right. There we go, there's your bit of cordage. you can tear it off in strips like so. Now I have used this for when I'm finessing trout, and I've got a willow, a stouter bit of willow than this obviously, and I've cut that, and I've used this, and I've used nettle cordage to tie either end of the split. And basically you can just twist it into cordage like so. Here we go again. It's a bit green. I mean, it's quite strong enough as it is, and you can wrap it around a stick a couple of times. So it twists in on itself, and then it's going to be a very, very short piece of cordage, but this is 2-ply, and it will twist round on itself a little bit. There are a few other videos out there that deal with this. And there you go. There's a piece of twisted cordage for you. I mean, as it happens, as it is now, like that, untwist before it's even twisted up into cordage, it's quite strong. And if you're using it to bind your fish to a stick, it's good enough to do that. Of course, it will work even better once it's dried out and re-soaked. Very similar to nettle cordage. Nettle cordage always works better when it's dried out and re-soaked, whereas this can work straight off. You can boil this. You can boil it for about an hour in some lye. Basically got to get white wood ash, which is off your fire. Put it in some water, boil it up, chuck this in and let it boil for about an hour. Take it out and let it dry, and you've got some wonderful string. Makes really good cordage. I've made bird snares with it. I've made a jibway traps with it, and I've used it for binding as well. So it's really good stuff, and it's natural. It's there. It's all around you. You don't have to go to the shops and buy it. All it requires is a bit of effort on your part to make it. Of course, you know, once you've got your withy, you might want to do a hoop. There we go, right. Of course, there's lots of things you can make with this. Now, this will make a very good hoop for a net basket. Again, cordage. If you've made enough cordage up, and I mean you need quite a bit to make a net basket. That's why I would use jute twine or some string from a local hardware store. And I will cover net making in another video. Excuse me a minute. You can make your hoop up, and then thread your net onto this and start netting, and you can make yourself a net basket, a dilly bag even, with an open top. Again, just something, a greenwood craft in one sense. Let it dry out, and you've got some withies, and you can make a type of basket. Just soak the withies in water, obviously. It won't weave tight like I wanted it to do the other week. Unfortunately, it won't do that. I've got some rattan indoors, and that will weave into a smaller basket, but this will weave into a type of basket. Anyway guys, that's a bit of cordage, so there we go. I'm going to take this home, and I've got use for this anyway. It's going to dry out a bit, and it will make a nice bit extra cordage for my drying rack, which I'm trying to make. I'm also looking at making a solar oven, which is primarily a cardboard box lined with tin foil. Doesn't really get that hot, but I want to try and use it for drying out meat and things. And talking about drying out meat and other things, fruit. We are well into the foraging season. I've got a bowl of blackberries indoors. I'm going to get myself some vodka, and I'm going to make some blackberry vodka. I had the idea of doing sloe gin, but I'm not too keen on the taste of gin, so what I'm going to do is, I know where there's some sloes, I'm going to also bang them, pick them because they're ripe. Everything's really early this year, they are ripe. I'm going to pick them, stick them in the freezer for a couple of days, that will imitate the frost, pull them out, prick them, and again steep them in vodka and maybe a little bit of brown sugar, I don't know. But I'm also going to do the same with rowan berries. The last couple of years I've been making a rowan cordial, and last year I really messed it up. Lovely cordial, but the thing was, it's set in a bottle, and I had a bug of a job getting it out. And also, you've got to use it up pretty quick because it will develop a mould along the top. And so what I thought, infuse it into some alcohol, either a very cheap whiskey or again vodka, so you get the taste of the fruit. And I'm thinking of going to do that. I'm going to go down that route of doing some preserves using various fruits that I pick up. We've made an awful lot of jam this year as usual, and the cherry plums and the gauges have been really nice, and I've got some really nice jams indoors. Well, on that, guys, I'm going to turn off for a minute. I may come back, I may not. I'm just going to enjoy myself a nice cup of tea. I brought a flask out and I've got some biscuits and cheese and an apple. And this little doggy here, at the moment, he's trying to catch a mosquito that's flying around his head, and it's quite fun to watch. Anyway, I'll see you in a bit, guys.